Alright, today I am going to be talking about killing Nutcrackers. What's the best way to do it? How do you do it with melee weapons? I shouldn't really have to talk about it with a shotgun. Most people probably know that shotguns will one-tap them as long as you're close enough. Um, this is not scripted, by the way. This is just me talking, because I have a lot of experience with fighting these guys, and I figured I could make a very good general information video that's not scripted, but it should be still hopefully accurate to fighting Nutcrackers. All this information shouldn't really change once version 55 fully releases, unless Seekers fixes a specific bug that's been in the game since Nutcrackers were released. Okay, so as people probably know, Nutcrackers have 5 health. They take 5 melee weapon hits to kill because of this. So I'm just going to fight this Nutcracker how I would naturally if I was not doing this for demonstration purposes. Not sure why that happened with the site. That's been happening recently. But that's fine. So yeah, I killed that Nutcracker relatively effortlessly without many problems. Let me get my mouse display going. So, the first thing I want to mention about Nutcrackers, real quick, is you notice how I did not wait for the Nutcracker reload animation to finish? You might think, oh, you're just doing that for demonstration purposes, you're not actually trying to get a fully loaded gun. No, this is a common misconception about the death of a Nutcracker that I see. If you don't know, the amount of shells you get from a Nutcracker when you kill it, like in the gun, is dependent on how loaded it is. And you will always get at least one shell in the gun if you kill a Nutcracker. There is never a point that the Nutcracker has 0 shells in its gun. But think about that. There's never a point that it has 0 shells. So what that means is that you do not actually have to wait for the reload animation to finish playing in order to get a fully loaded gun from a Nutcracker. So this drastically helps with killing them because it reduces the amount of time that you have to put up with them. As you can see, this will have 2 shells. I did not wait for the reload animation to finish, but I still got a fully loaded gun. So yes, this will help a lot because it reduces the amount of time that you have to do the fight for, and that can be a big difference. Time is of the essence in Lethal Company that many people seem to fail to understand. I might make a whole video talking about the importance of time, the time you spend doing stuff, the time that you're playing each round for. Where's that mask, dude? The mask just laughed randomly. That's kind of irritating that there's just a mask on the other side of this wall and it's just gonna laugh randomly throughout the video. Oh no, there it is. Okay, let's just get this guy out of here real quick. So yeah, that's one thing I wanted to say about Nutcrackers. Now, the other thing, you notice the way I'm fighting them is I'm poking my body out of my cover a lot faster than most people would probably expect. So, like that. And the reason I'm doing this is for optimization of not only doing the fight quicker, but also when you come out of your cover sooner when you're dealing with a Nutcracker, it stays further away from you. So distance between a Nutcracker and you, if you're not at the foyer with these pillars or at a bookcase that you can do 360s around, distance is important. So let's say for some strange reason I can't go over to that bookcase and there's a Nutcracker here. Let's wait for it to start scanning. So yeah, if I just wait right here, it gets over here sooner. And that's bad, because now I have less cover to work with for actually fighting this guy. So yeah, as you can see, if you pop out earlier, it stays further away from you. And this is good because it keeps your distance that you have in order to kill the Nutcracker, which can help tremendously and make you able to kill Nutcrackers in a lot of different places. Now, another thing you might notice about the Nutcrackers that I'm fighting is they're walking while they're aiming at me, and it's actually tiptoeing, but I digress. This is not a bug. A lot of people think that this is a bug when Nutcrackers walk towards you when they're aiming. No, that's actually what they're meant to do. The actual bug is them not doing it, but the conditions of them not doing it is simply if you're not the host of the server, then they will not tiptoe for you. And this is what causes the weird, like, lunge forwards, or as some people would call it, teleportation. That's them fixing their position for you if you're client. So them tiptoeing is what is intended, but if you're not the host and you don't have a mod that fixes the bug where they would tiptoe for you if you're not the host, you could kill them at this area alone without having to go over to the foyer to this pillar, for example, because they're not tiptoeing for you, so they're going to stay around this area. And the lunge forwards, because of that, is predictable. The way that the tiptoeing works is they do it whenever they fire 2 shots at their target, and their target is still living. So if you bait 2 shots and dodge them here, not as host, then you do 2 more shot baits. The Nutcracker will stay here, provided it was far away enough. It will stay in this area, and if you poke your body out early enough, it will stay roughly around right here or so. And then it will lunge forwards out of this room, because it's fixing its position of where it should actually be on your screen as the client, and not being the host of the server. So it is predictable, and because of that, it's much easier to kill Nutcrackers if you're not the host of the server. I personally use a mod that fixes the bug, but if you don't want to do that, then that's understandable. Like, it's a bug. Zeekers might not fix it. A lot of people think that the bug is them tiptoeing, and therefore Zeekers has not really learned that the bug exists. It's actually a pretty simple fix from what I heard too. So, yeah. The bug may not be fixed, so it's really not that big of a deal, provided it doesn't get fixed, obviously. But that's just assuming it won't be. So, the final thing when killing Nutcrackers is improvisation. Are you comfortable with killing a Nutcracker around a foyer pillar? You should be. You can do 360s around these, as I've done multiple times in this video so far. You can do 360s around these. It's the best cover. Same for bookcases. But are you comfortable with doing it at something a little bit more obtuse, like this area that I was talking about, for example, even when they are tiptoeing? So let's spawn a Nutcracker like right here. Am I comfortable with fighting a Nutcracker in a big open area like this that doesn't have any areas I could do 360s at? Well, yeah, I'm pretty comfortable with doing that, I would say. I'm gonna bring it closer. And this is another thing. Sometimes you want to bring the Nutcracker closer to you. Because then you can do stuff like that, and it makes it a lot easier to do stuff depending on the distance the Nutcracker has. That's another thing about the improvisation. Improvise whether or not it's a good idea to bring the Nutcracker closer, it's a good idea to keep the Nutcracker having distance away from you. Are you comfortable with fighting the Nutcracker at a specific area like the one I just did? You can even do it around the foyer staircase if you really wanted to. Like, there's no reason you can't. Honestly, I should be fighting them around this more. It's quite fun to do it around the foyer staircase. Another thing that works for Nutcrackers, let me see if I can find one. So you know those like small tables that spawn in manors? Those actually work for cover if you crouch next to them. You will not be hit by a shotgun blast. Ooh, the kitchen. This might have it. Okay, yeah, so this table is what I'm talking about. Unfortunately, the table is not in like the center where it sometimes can be. It's more ideal if you can do 360s around it. And also, this table will not work because it doesn't have collision. So, even if it did, you wouldn't really be able to use it too much anyways for cover. But yeah, you can definitely dodge a shot at these tables. So, let me spawn a Nutcracker and demonstrate that. I'm not going to stay at the table. I'm just going to dodge one shot at the table. Or, well, I guess 2 shots will be fine. So yeah, it works just fine like that. Yeah, so improvise with your cover. Check your area, make sure you have something you're comfortable with, or you have rooms that you're comfortable with doing a Nutcracker fight at. And know your limits and boundaries. And you should be fine to kill them with a shovel pretty much every single time. Or, well, maybe not. Of course you can screw up. We're humans. We screw up stuff all the time. As for with the stop sign and yield sign, it's not really that different. Especially stop sign. Stop sign is only 10 pounds more than a shovel. It doesn't matter that much. And I would advise only using a stop sign or a yield sign if you have, like, absolutely no other choice. If you're in... It's mostly only good for public lobbies. If you're in a server and they have no credits, but they have a stop sign or a yield sign, then you can definitely use those. It's a little bit more difficult with a yield sign, though. Like, the stop sign is pretty negligible, but yield sign does actually make it a little bit more difficult, because you have to keep in mind that you're heavier, so when you do early pop-outs to have the Nutcracker distance a lot more further from you, then yeah, and stuff like that can happen too. So that's about it for the shovel, the stop sign, and the yield sign. The knife is a little bit more tricky because you have to get closer to the Nutcracker, and that makes you prone to being kicked, but you can definitely get close enough and you won't get kicked. The distance the Nutcracker kicks someone is not actually as big as some people think it is. So, let me... Alright, pause time. Just get rid of those guys. Okay. Let's go to main. Alright, so, with a knife. Important thing, by the way. This... All those swains do not count as a damage that would be dealt. It does for players, but doing this will not kill the Nutcracker in the time that you think it would. Auto-clicker also does not change this. Well, unless you set it to the specific input delay that you would actually do with the knife, which is this. Something around that. That might not be exactly accurate, but the knife has a cooldown of like 0.6 seconds, so you can't just spam it like this and every swing will do damage. You have to do it in like a metronome fashion, like this, and those will do the damage that you want. So let's get a Nutcracker. We are going to wait for it to scan. Never start a fight with a Nutcracker like you can with a shovel, stop sign, or yield sign by hitting it while it's just walking, because it can just walk into you and kick you. And you need, like, really, really comfortable cover to do this. And as you can see, sometimes the shotgun blocks damage that would be dealt to the Nutcracker. The shotgun that the Nutcracker's holding can sometimes act as a shield against the knife, which is very irritating, but I have multiple times just repeatedly done the metronome fashion of stabbing and killed a Nutcracker without the shotgun blocking being too much of a problem, but you do have to keep that in mind. But yeah, as long as you understand your boundaries with the knife, then you should be fine. Yeah, a little bit irritating, but nevertheless, knife is perfectly viable for Nutcrackers. I would say it's like the best use of the knife besides just instantly killing butlers. I will try one more time to do it without the shotgun blocking the damage, but I might not be able to do it. Okay, we're doing it at this pillar, I guess. I guess I can... Yeah, so, yeah, it, like, instantly walked really close to me, and I could have easily gotten screwed over right there. Yeah, it's not easy to do it in one clean motion without having to dodge an extra 2 shots, but it definitely can be done. I have done it before. So that's about all I have to say about killing Nutcrackers, at least without stun grenades. Stun grenades are a whole different thing, actually. So, let's go back in. I'm going to go back in with a shovel this time. And I'm going to get a stun grenade. So, I don't generally bring stun grenades inside. If you're dealing with, like, Brutal Company and the event they guard this place, or if you're playing a modded moon that has Nutcrackers spawn outside, a stun grenade would definitely help a lot more than it does inside. I'm not saying it's not viable, but generally, I don't really use stun grenades on Nutcrackers inside much, but it's definitely a strategy you can do. When you throw a stun grenade at a Nutcracker, you want to hit it before the stun grenade goes off, and then continue beating it down after it goes off. When you do this, the Nutcracker will not be able to shoot you, will not be able to kick you, and it's basically a free kill. The problem with doing this is that most of the time when you do it, the shotgun will fire a shot. I got lucky that time that it didn't do it, but 9 times out of 10, when you do it, the shotgun will immediately unload a bullet after the Nutcracker is killed. I don't think this is a bug. I believe this is happening due to the game saving the state of the shotgun being ready to be fired. You can also just do it like that, like, do it before the stun grenade goes off, like, perfectly time it to where the Nutcracker wouldn't be aware that you're even there, because a weird thing about stun grenades is that they kind of disable the Nutcracker's sense of touch completely. I'm not exactly sure how it works. Like, it doesn't disable their sight, but it does disable their ability to feel being hit. It's really strange. So I'm gonna wait for this guy to turn. Yeah, so, I don't know why that happens. It's very strange. It's, like, Nutcrackers aren't really like that under any circumstances unless you cheese them, so it's very weird that a stun grenade causes that to happen, but just keep that in mind if you do want to do the stun grenade strategy, and this will work with any melee weapon, it doesn't matter, it's basically the same way you would kill them with a melee weapon. But the final thing I want to talk about is the attack cycles, as I call them, or, well, the hit cycles is what I also call them, but basically it's the number of hits you do in between each round of bullets it fires. So, generally what I do is what I like to call, oops, that's not the right item, get that out of here, pretend I didn't spawn that. Generally what I like to do is the 3-2 cycle, as I call it. The more traditional one is 1-2-2, so I will do 1-2-2 first. I don't really like to do 1-2-2 as much anymore, but it's definitely an option. Okay, I guess I'm not doing 1-2-2, because this guy sucks. So yeah, 3-2, you hit it 3 times, bait the wait the next 4 shots, or next 2 shots, so it equal out to 4, and then you do 2 more hits and kill it. 1, 2, 2, I mean, you can guess what that is. Ugh. It's basically the same if I only hit it once and then go back to the cover. Again, I'm not sure what's up with them not seeing me. It's kind of strange. But yeah, 1, 2, 2, like that. 2, 3 is also possible, since 3, 2 is possible, but 2, 3 is kind of more risky, because that prones you to being killed by the Nutcrackers in rage state. But I will do a 2, 3 cycle regardless. Oh, I messed it up. Okay, but you get the idea. So yeah, that's the best tips I can possibly give for killing Nutcrackers. Really not that bad to fight and kill them. Like, you can do it. You can get good at it. You can get really consistent at it. And again, improvise. Consider your cover. Consider the ground you have. Consider the rooms you have. Whatever, whatever. And judge whether or not you're in a comfortable place to fight a Nutcracker. And that's about all I have to say.